The Lion Cub has finally arrived at the Reagan's Rides garage, and in this video, we get to check out what the Peugeot 2008 has got to offer. Let's do this. The Peugeot 2008 is the smallest SUV offering in the local Peugeot lineup, but it is also the feistiest. It shares the handsome good looks of its bigger brothers, the 5008 and the 3008, but has an affordable price level, well, at least for a European offering. See, at 1,669,000 Philippine pesos, the Peugeot 2008 is not too far off from its Japanese premium crossover counterparts. However, here's the big question for today's video. Is the Peugeot 2008's European pedigree and handsome styling enough to sway you away from the usual Asian premium crossovers in the price segment? True, it takes an outlier or someone who prefers left-field choices to even take a look at the Peugeot 2008. Now this, my friends, is true, especially here in our Toyota crazy country. The thing is, those who venture into the unique and distinctive side will often be rewarded with a head-turning ride and an engaging drive. Now, before we begin, I'd like to extend a special shout-out and thank you to Peugeot Philippines for lending me the 2008 to do this review. Oh yes, and I'd like to invite you to click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Philippine automotive content. Now, when you look at the front fascia of the Peugeot 2008, well, you'll see that it shares the same fascia as the bigger brothers, the 3008 and the 5008. Now, that means that we get LED DRL fangs here at the sides of the front bumper, which goes well with the LED like lion's claws found inside the headlight housing. Now, of course, the 2008 also gets full LED headlight units here, and these lighting units, yeah, they go well with this front grille that is designed to look like the mane of a lion, you know, the black mane of a lion. Now, when you put it together with all of the angular lines and creases here on this front fascia, yeah, the 2008 really has that unique and striking look that makes this Lion Cub look truly handsome. The side profile gets a more typical crossover silhouette here, although the 2008 gets some prominent body lines here on the door panels that are shaped like triangles. And yes, I first saw this in the new Hyundai Tucson. However, the 2008's body lines and creases are not as aggressive as the Tucson's, although they are still prominent enough to be noticed. Now, the 2008 also gets blacked out power folding side mirrors with LED turn signals. We have chrome door handles here and a blacked out set of roof rails up top. Now, when you turn your attention to the wheels and tires, well, we get 17-inch Salamanca diamond cut alloy wheels here. And behind those wheels, we get disc brakes on all four corners. Now, as for the suspension, well, the 2008 rides on MacPherson's up front and a torsion beam at the back. And for the ground clearance, well, this premium subcompact crossover has a ground clearance of 210 millimeters. And I know that some of you might tell me in the comments that other local car reviewers said that it's lower. But here's the thing, guys. I did my research globally, and I've checked the spec sheet of the Peugeot 2008. Not the ones that they have here in the Philippines, but rather the spec sheet of the 2008s across the world. And the ground clearance there is set at 210 millimeters. So if you're gonna ask me, yes, I am going to rely more on the official spec sheet rather than what some local car reviewer says. If there's one thing I know about the French, it's that they love a bountiful derriere. Now, derriere in English means, it's a butt, a bubble butt. They would love a really nice looking bubble butt. And that can be seen in the rear end of this Peugeot 2008. Now, allow me to explain. You see, we got this like striking rear end design here, pretty similar to the bigger brothers, the 3008 and the 5008. we get these lion's claw LED taillights here with the Peugeot lettering right there in the center, set in this glossy piano black plastic trimming there. Now here's the thing. When you say derriere, that just means yeah, it's a rear end, the rear bumper. And if you look at the rear bumper of this Peugeot 2008, well, you'll see that this, my friends, has got to be the biggest rear bumper that's ever been fitted in a premium subcompact crossover. I mean, look at the size of this thing. This is huge, man. and I like it. I like it. I'm also a man who loves really nice derrieres. Anyway, guys, here's another thing. This 2008 comes with a pair of functional exhaust pipes there, although the exhaust tips are kinda on the small side. So yeah, it's set in a really large rear bumper, but we got a pair of tiny exhaust pipes, so I don't really know what to make of it. Although I like it. Okay guys, I like it. It looks really good. It looks really darn good. Anyway, when you pop open the manual liftgate of the 2008 here, you'll see that we get around 434 liters of cargo space, which is good enough for a medium-sized luggage here, and you could probably fit another slightly smaller medium-sized luggage right beside it. Now you can also put smaller items on top, and in case you need to transport larger items, well, you can also split fold the back seats, which will give you a lot more space. Now, if you're looking for the spare tire, it can also be found right here underneath the trunk floor. This is a donut spare tire, which is, yeah, pretty typical amongst subcompact crossovers. The 2008 gets a smaller engine versus the 3008 and of course the 5008, because this is a 1.2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine that puts out 130 horsepower and 230 Newton meters of torque. Now, power is sent to the front wheels via a 6-speed automatic transmission, which is, hooray, it's not a CVT. Now guys, the torque figures of this 2008 is quite notable because at 230 Newton meters, it's only 10 Newton meters less than the 3008. So that means that the 2008 here is quite zippy and peppy to drive around the city. And in fact, the 0 to 100 kph times of this crossover stands at 9.2 seconds, which makes this one hell of a quick crossover. Now, as for the fuel economy, guys, well, the 2008 returned to me stellar fuel consumption figures because around the city, I was able to get 14.7 kilometers per liter at an average speed of 27 kph, and on the highway, it returned 21.2 kilometers per liter at an average speed of 80 kph. If there's one area where the Peugeot 2008 beats the competition, it's the overall cockpit design. You see, this, my friends, is much, much better than the cockpits of the premium subcompact crossovers coming from Japanese car makers. Now, the main star of the show here, the stars of the show, are the steering wheel and the gauge cluster. You see, we have here a small yet gorgeous double flat leather wrap steering wheel here. So when I say double flat, it just means we have a flat top and a flat bottom, which also means that you can view your fully digital gauge cluster on top of the wheel rather than within the wheel or inside the wheel. Now, speaking of that gauge cluster, this digital gauge cluster here, guys, I mean, dude, you gotta check this out. This has a 3D effect going on to it, which makes it look more like a heads-up display, and the way it's positioned above the steering wheel really gives it that heads-up display feel to it. Now guys, this combo of the digital gauge cluster and this unique looking steering wheel really gives this cabin really more of an aircraft feel to it. Now, you know what other factor or aspect of this cockpit gives the 2008 really more of an aircraft feel? Yeah, it's the row of toggle switches found here underneath the center AC vents. I mean, when you put it all together, it's Really, really unique and distinctive, guys. And I have to say this to you, Peugeot has really hit the ball out of the ballpark when it comes to the overall cockpit design. However, the 2008 cockpit has a few bummers here which kind of reduces its overall appeal. First up, we don't get paddle shifters here. I mean, this steering wheel would have been complete if we had a pair of paddle shifters just like the bigger brothers, but unfortunately, we don't get that here. Now, the second bummer, guys, is, well, the infotainment screen. Oh, while we do get a touchscreen display here, it's only 7 inches, which is kinda on the small side considering the price that you're paying for this Peugeot 2008. Now, granted, this 7-inch touchscreen also comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus the image of a 180-degree view camera. But since I also know for a fact that other markets get a Peugeot 2008 with a 10-inch touchscreen, yeah, it still feels like a bummer for me. Now, guys, a third bummer is the fact that we don't get an auto brake hold feature here. We have an electronic park brake, but we don't get an auto hold button. So yes, that's a little bit inconvenient. Oh, and a slightly minor fourth bummer as well is the fact that the 2008 does not get auto dimming rear view mirrors there. Now, for a small crossover, yes, auto dimming rear view mirrors would be greatly appreciated, but we don't get that here, hence the bummer. Still, guys, this 2008 comes with some pretty good and distinct advantages as well, like for example, its safety features. As you're seeing on your screen, we have a robust set of safety features there. We have a good amount of driver assist aids, which is, yes, it's good enough to give this Peugeot 2008 a 4-star rating in the Euro NCAP. However, I did notice that we are missing adaptive cruise control, but, well, it is what it is. Now, this Peugeot 2008 also has a pair of cup holders here, which I will now subject to my 600 ml clean canteen test. As you can see, the cup holder at the back part easily passes my clean canteen test. The one up front fails it. It's a little bit smaller, so yes, I will give it a marginal pass because, well, at least one cup holder can fit my clean canteen. Now, as for the overall design of this cockpit, guys, I mean, this is gorgeous. The materials are mostly soft touch plastics, but the textures, the design, the layering that they've done to this cabin, dude, I'm telling you, this is really, really, really gorgeous. I love it. 2 thumbs up. The 2008 is a small, well, subcompact crossover, so don't expect much space here at the back seat. Well, you can put 2 average adults here at the back. It's not going to be a problem, but if you try to squeeze a third one in the middle, yeah, I would suggest that you try to avoid that as much as possible because it's really on the tight side. In fact, the back seat of this 2008 kind of reminds me of the back seat of the Mazda CX-30. So yes, this is definitely not a class leader when it comes to back seat space. Now, as for the amenities, well, the Peugeot 2008 has the amenities of a budget car, which means that we get nothing at all. As in, there are no amenities here at the back. The Peugeot 2008 is the most striking premium subcompact crossover in its price segment today. It's a vehicle that turns heads wherever it goes. It's definitely worth a second look, especially if you're the type of person who prefers to stand out. Well, one thing's for sure, you wouldn't have a hard time finding the Peugeot 2008 in a mall parking lot. Now, as for the drive, well, do click that subscribe button because the driving segment is coming up next. Thanks for watching.